Thank you, everyone, for taking a bit of time out of your day to join us. My name is Angie. I'm the Executive Director of New Ventures BC. We're one of the lead partners managing the Accelerate IP, formerly or also known as Elevate IP program here in BC and Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. I'm also very pleased to be joined here both by my colleague, Rachel Burns. She's the Program Director for Accelerate IP. Supreet Kaur, who is a program manager at Innovate BC and works on both the Accelerate IP program and IP Assist on behalf of Innovate BC. And of course, Cynthia Shipham, who is IRAP ITA with the IP Assist program. So I don't know if any of you are super familiar with either or any of the IP programs, but as part of the operations team, the number one question we get is this IP Assist, or what's the difference between Accelerate IP and IP Assist? And can I use them together or can I not? So we really value our working partnership with the team over at IRAP and IP Assist, and have always been in constant communication. So we kind of all agreed, well, why don't we do a bit of info session so we can share our thoughts on the program's differences, similarities, and how you can hopefully use both to support your IP strategy and your startup journey. So with that, that was my very long welcome. So welcome. I would also like to say the New Ventures BC here's office is located downtown Vancouver. We're very grateful to be gathered and to work out of the traditional ancestral unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations peoples. So in terms of an agenda, we are going to first hand it over to Cynthia Shipham from IRAP. She will take you through a bit of a high level, first, why IP, why does it matter? And then also talk about the IP Assist program that is available. And then we'll pass it over to Rachel, who will take you through the Accelerate IP program. And in about 10-15 minutes per. And then so pass the baton day. We'll pass it over to Supreet, who will talk about who's works on both programs, kind of a bit how both programs work together. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end. So Cynthia has to jet out a little bit early, so we will do questions for Cynthia first, and then we'll continue on. But if for some reason you have a question for Cynthia that we don't get to, Supreet can certainly talk on behalf of both programs as well. So that's our agenda. And we will, as Rachel mentioned, if you have questions, put them in the chat. If they're clarifying questions, we'll try and answer them right away. But if they're kind of more, longer questions, we might save them till the end. But we are certainly reading all your questions, so please do put them in the chat. Okay, so with that, I will invite Cynthia from IRAP to please pull up your slides and take it from here for now.
All right, thanks very much, Angie. Let's share some slides. And there we are. So thanks very much for the introduction and for everybody attending. I'm going to cover quite a bit of information. Don't worry about taking notes and scratching stuff down. It's much more important to think about it, go, oh, how would that work? I want to start a little bit with a high level, as Angie said, about sort of like, why do this? And what is the world of IP? It's huge. A lot of people think IP equal patents. Patents are just one flavor of intellectual property. You've got many, many different things, trademarks, copyright, software, advertising. The list is enormous, including data. Everything needs to be handled its own way. But at the early stages, it's all information. And that's where patent tools can be good, but it's still about the information at the end of the day and how this will relate to your business. So some key questions you think about when you're running a company. Who else is doing it? How are you different? This is going to change. It's important to sort of know where you are in the wider world. If you're really early stage, most likely one or more of these bullets might apply. You haven't actually built it yet, but you need to. Or you've built it, but you haven't made it at scale, which changes the rules. Maybe you don't even know where you're going to manufacture yet. Or maybe you do know where you want to manufacture, but you've still got to figure out the molds and the patterns. Maybe you haven't sold any of it yet. You need to. Or you don't know where exactly you're going to sell it to. You're still defining your customer. Or you might go, I have many different ways I could sell this. One of them is going to be first. How do you figure that out? Freedom to operate, FTO, always comes into the discussion. It's important. It's always going to be part of an investment dialogue. There's no question about that, but it's a process more than a binary answer. I would not say it's yes or no. It's more about the under these conditions in this location, this is what matters. And so if you don't know where you need to operate or sell or manufacture, or specifically what you're actually going to sell at the end of the day, because this can change, you're going to waste your time chasing the patent or the piece of information. You need to do a bigger view first. So the goal is to deal with information. And I pick on patents here because they're incredibly useful as an indexed resource to find stuff. We can all Google. When you're in medical and engineering fields, you've got IEEE, you've got PubMed, but the patents tell you a lot more about what somebody else was trying to figure it out, how they thought the problem was defined, how they solved it, how they tested it, what failed. If somebody's put a lot of invest a lot of money into patents, they're telling you something that this is important. And you might also be able to start seeing where some pitfalls lurk. If everybody's trying to do something and it kind of went splat, is there a risk you're on that stage? So I just wanted to put up the roadmap here. And you can see there's two ways to get someplace. Everybody gets to the market at the end of the day, assuming nothing fails. The question is who gets there first. If you consider the black line and the red line as a path to market, both of them have freedom to operate depending on the intellectual property they control. The person on the black line owns the stuff in the blue and they can go straight through here. The yellow information is what everybody has. The person following the red path has to kind of wiggle around this. And this is going to change everything they do. So where do you need this? What do you have to do to get there? And how are you going to define that path? There we go. So a key part of it is information. And this is why I wanted to point towards, start thinking of these as databases, is this is everything that we know. And it's huge. This is going to be the universe of everything. What humans know is a subset of this. This is the stuff we can actually access. Patents, published things, technical literature, all are subset again of this. So even if you do search something up in a patent, you're not seeing absolutely everything. If you look at technical literature, you're not seeing absolutely everything. If you just Google, you're still not seeing absolutely everything. When you've got your business, it's covering known things and unknown things. And that's the tricky part. And sometimes where the value lies. Or maybe you have the stuff in the dark blue, but nobody else does. And that's your secret. Is that your what you're going to leverage? And you're never alone and you don't do this in a vacuum. So how do your collaborators and partners fit in that space? None of these are yeses or nos or goods or bads. It's all information that enriches the whole discussion. As an illustration of the importance of information and how messy it can get, I took this from a 2021 article that was talking about IP for COVID vaccines, which we're all familiar with. And you can see some of the players you've seen in the media and a bunch of other ones. Why Tesla is over here, I have no idea. But this is what you find when you start searching around. You find interesting relationships and other kind of things. What do you do with it? What does it mean? And those are the big questions that IP Assist and AccelerateIP can help with in terms of what is this? How does it work? Which one do I choose? How do I make these decisions? I need to plan for this. How do I do that? If you jump off the cliff before you know how to fly, you've got a bit of a problem. So you want to at least have, a safety net or some wings, or maybe you've got a parachute. And that's what information can be in this case. And IP has value at every stage of your process, all the way from the very beginning with the technical, all the way out to how you're going to sell and license it. And you need to be thinking at multiple levels. It does feel like it's a little bit circular and you're covering a lot of things, but you got to start somewhere. And so on to IP Assist. This is a federal government program that is delivered through IRAP specifically. So IRAP is the Industrial Research Assistance Program, and it is part of the National Research Council of Canada. If you have an ITA, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you've never heard of IRAP before, it's one of many government programs that can help companies. And we do have some criteria in areas where IRAP works, so this isn't going to be everything for everybody. But I do encourage you to find out about it. Maybe it's appropriate for your company. There'll be a bit of information about where to do that later. The website, you could Google it. But long story short, we exist to accelerate the growth of Canadian companies. We provide advisory services. We provide a bunch of other resources that we can foot the bill for, or companies may pay for, or a combination of both. This can come in the form of funding. If you thought of us as an investor, you'd be in the right headspace. So we're not a grant per se. Intellectual property is critical to this discussion. And what you do with it is the business part of how your intellectual property. And you have to tell that part of the story. It's not just about the tech. And IP Assist helps connect these parts. IP Assist is structured with 3 levels. You will see this structure in a lot of different Canadian intellectual property programs. It reasonably makes sense, and it sort of helps you figure out what everybody needs. Again, if you act before you plan, you might not get what you want. And it starts out with awareness. This is base level education. The more you know about something, the better questions you ask. This is all delivered through your ITA if you are an IRAP client. So you need to start with that eligibility. The next step will be strategy and planning. So you learn at awareness, you're planning your strategy. You want to find your gaps and needs. What don't I know? Where are the issues? What are the unknowns? Then you can address them. And the level 3 part of IP Assist can help with those selected actions. So for awareness, this is the what is a patent, what is a trademark discussion. This can be useful to help answer the, yeah, but what does this mean to my company? The one-on-one interaction is sort of the core of IRAP's business between the ITA and the company. And we also extend this through service providers to help us deliver this. And this has been incredibly valuable for many firms because they don't know what they don't know, or they're in the process of filling the gaps in. And this is a way to get that information in the context of their own company and business. So when you link technology to IP, you think about your enabling tech. What is the state of the art? What are other people doing? Who has key tech? What are your advantages? And what do your customers want and need? This is the tricky part, because the fanciest technology in the world won't go anywhere unless it actually solves somebody's problems. And people pay to solve their problems. And so that lens, what is your problem and how do you do it, is a really critical business point. This knits together your business goals and what your market looks like, who your competitors might be, how are you different, who can disrupt you. These are all open questions. These will change as your business grows and evolves. Intellectual property is one instrument that can help support these and answer some of the questions, or at least give you a point in the right direction. And IP connects them. How does your tech and your business connect? What's your strategy and your plan? And I would also say, when did you last review it? If you say, I have a plan, I say, great. When did you set it up? What did you look at? What changed? And finding your gaps is critical, as I mentioned. And then how do you translate your innovations into money? You're going to sell your product and manufacture it. From there, there's a level 2. And this is the specific strategy development. For this one, I would again, talk to your ITA about the particulars for you. And IRAP can help support these connections, getting this information addressed, and figure out some valuable business insights. And this IP strategy supports your business strategy. It doesn't exist in a vacuum and becomes something nice that you just sort of put nicely on the shelf and say, isn't that pretty? It's a living document. You want to be pulling it down, marking it up, scribbling on it. It's something you should be using regularly, whether it's a piece of paper or in a digital file, but you want to be referring back to it and updating it as things change. Your technical landscape. This is a more detailed dive in terms of who's who in the zoo, not just Googling names now, but where are they investing? What problems are they solving? Maybe who they interact with. And keeping it current and relevant, this supports your objectives. And like I talked about that briefly. There's also best practices discussions that will come, they will develop organically through this. And you can also specifically ask for some guidance on these points. Depending on the stage of your company, you may need slightly different things. And again, this is where IRAP can help tailor something specific to you. And then the third level is the action. You've done your base learning, you've come up with your gaps, you understand more of your landscape and your needs, and now you can do some selected actions on this. Now, not everything does everything. Level 3 is an ITA specific question, so I'm not going to, element. So I'm not going to get into it details here because everybody may have a different idea. But this is a way to start solving some of the issues and addressing the needs. And with this multi-tiered program, the aim of IRAP is to be supporting innovative Canadian companies to help them grow. They build the IP awareness, develop their plans, and execute it to bring value and benefits to Canada. If you are an IRAP client, please reach out to your ITA for more information. If you don't already work with IRAP, please give a ring to the call center. They will have some base questions in terms of where you fit and eligibility. There are also many, many other government programs, and I encourage you to look into those and find out what other ones may be suitable for your business.
Great.
And with
Cynthia,
that, I will stop sharing.
thank you. Cynthia, are these slides shareable? Can we share them?
As they are right now, no, but
Okay.
We can talk about that.
Okay, we'll come up with a shareable version that we can share. That was just the only question I saw in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, so we'll move on and we'll circle back on some Q&A in a little bit. So I think next up we have Rachel. So Rachel will now take you through Accelerate IP program. So the first is, yes, they are different programs. So you've heard about one, now you'll hear about the other, and then we'll talk about how both programs, complement each other and can be used. Okay, over to you, Rachel, when you are ready.
Okay, great. Can you see my screen?
We can.
In full screen? Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Angie. So a little bit about Accelerate IP. We're actually part of an Elevate IP initiative, which is a Canada-wide program. The version that we're running here in BC is for BC, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. New Ventures BC, as mentioned, is the primary delivery partner, as well as Innovate BC is a prime collaborator working closely with us. And we have additional partners and collaborators as well throughout these regions. And we just want to acknowledge this program is generously supported by Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada, also known as ISED. So we do have a number of partners and collaborators. You can see them all on the screen. The reason that these are important is because if you might be connected to one of these organizations, they may be able to help you access the program by providing a referral, by providing advice, information about the program. So take a look. Also, if you might join the mentorship aspect of our program, you'll be working with one of the partners shown on the screen. And these, again, are located throughout the regions. These partners also put on events. So you may want to join an event that is local to you. So throughout the 3 years that we're running the program, different events will pop up. Some will be online, some will be in person, and we're trying to kind of cover all territories to make sure that everyone can be included. Similar to IP Assist, we have 3 streams of programming. We have awareness, which is education, strategy, which is mentorship, and also legal costs. And then we also have implementation, which covers legal costs. So general program eligibility, each stream has progressive requirements. So general eligibility for the program, you must be a startup based in BC, Yukon, Northwest Territories, or Nunavut. You must have fewer than 500 full-time employees. And you must have an innovative technology or operate in the tech sector. If you're a nonprofit organization, but you meet the above definition of having innovative tech, you may also apply. Education, we have free foundational content. So we are currently linking up to some free educational content when you register on our portal. We're also building some for future. We also have seminars and webinars such as these. And we also offer a really exciting IP certification program, which is an in-depth look at IP in a cohort setting. So you can join 10 to 15 fellow startups and really take a deep dive with 2 IP experts. So the general application info, you must meet general eligibility requirements, but events are open to all. So you would just register on our partner, on the event registration page that is provided. So that could be maybe on our site. We are posting all the event links on our site, on the New Ventures BC site, and also on the AccelerateIP.ca website. But if you say are looking for a Viatech event, you would just also go to Viatech's site because they would likely have it there. For foundational training, you can register in the portal. And for the IP certification program, you do actually have to apply on the portal. just want to say we have only certain spots. So we have 15 spots 4 times a year. So we may not be able to let everyone depending on demand, but in generally speaking, if you meet the eligibility requirements, we are trying to, approve everyone. It's not like a highly competitive process. And currently there's a bit of, a time commitment for that certification program. We ran the first cohort in November. We had a really positive feedback, but it was kind of 3 weekends, subsequent weekends. So we're trying to shorten that down a bit. The next one we plan to do maybe over the course of 4 days. You can see the updated dates. We will be posting those on our website shortly. So it'll be in the next few days, and you can apply for that on our portal if you're interested. We're currently open for applications, the February cohort, and also the March online cohort. So the in-person for now are in Vancouver. We're looking at expanding that to other regions in the future. And we also offer an online cohort for folks that may not live in Vancouver. So Stream 2 strategy, if you're kind of like wanting to explore your IP strategy from a business perspective and you're not quite ready to work with a legal service provider and apply for the funding supports, you can apply for mentorship, and that way you can get up to 8 hours of one-on-one mentorship time with an advisor. So this is a great way to kind of like help you work with the legal service provider in the future, or explore your IP strategy and how it fits into your commercialization strategy, or just really like a place to get started. So this is a really recommended step if you're not quite sure where to start, aside from education, of course. And you must meet with general program eligibility and apply on the portal. There is also an initial IP assessment questions, and there's a mentorship application form. We aim to pair you with someone that works in your region. So if you apply from, say, Prince George, we'll try to pair you there. If for whatever reason there isn't a mentor available in your region, then you can also be paired with someone to work with them online. Applications are open and we'll be approving on a rolling basis. The other part of Stream 2, if you kind of are really ready to work on your IP strategy with a legal service provider, we can provide up to $25,000 of these costs to develop your IP strategy. There is a co-investment portion with that. It's 25% or 10% for Indigenous-owned startups. So these are the strategy supports, the eligible activities that we have. They're shown on the screen, just kind of a large scope of activities included in IP strategy. And then application info. So just to let you know, we would expect in this stage, if we were approving this application, you will have completed some educational offerings from Stream 1, that you might be an existing client of a partner or collaborator, or you're deemed eligible by our initial IP assessment. We will ask you to answer an initial IP assessment and a Stream 2 application form. You'll also have to provide a quote from a legal service provider. And these applications are also open on a rolling basis. And then implementation. We have up to $60,000 in costs with the legal service provider. These cover things like filing a patent, registering a trademark, etc. Same co-investment structure as Stream 2. These are some of the eligible activities. You can see, drafting a patent application, etc. And for this one, of course, there's a little bit more of an eligibility requirement because it's quite a bit of funding. And we hope that you have developed a strong IP strategy before you get to this stage. So we expect that your startup is incorporated. Incorporation is not required for the other streams. You must answer that initial IP assessment, a detailed IP assessment as well, and the Stream 3 application form. This also has a quote from a legal service provider. You have to demonstrate that strong IP strategy, and you must have completed Stream 2 of AccelerateIP or IP Assist Level 2 or an equivalent training, or have completed the Stream 1 certification program, or be willing to complete the program, or have in-house IP expert on staff. So there's quite a few different ways you could be eligible for this. Eligibility just means that you're eligible to apply. There is a competitive application process for this. So we do have a selection committee providing the end result for this. So there is, it's a competitive process. Not everyone may be successful. If you're unsuccessful, we may ask you, to go back to Stream 2 if we think you need to work on your strategy more, or give you some feedback on next steps. So we will be giving feedback, and it doesn't mean that you can't reapply in future. Applications are open currently, but they won't be reviewed until 2024. We're just wrapping up our current Stream 3 applications right now and determining who will be receiving the funding. There's some FAQs here. These ones come up quite a lot. So can you apply to any streams in any order? Do you have to do them in order? Well, if perhaps you come to the program already with a lot of expertise and strategy, you could potentially apply for a stream later down, but you must meet those eligibility requirements for each stream to qualify. We do strongly recommend, if you're going to apply to 2 streams at once, that you do have a strong strategy in place before you're applying to stream 3. So you really would want to be doing, if you think you need to do stream 2 and 3, then you should be doing stream 2 first. You can apply to things more than once if you don't max out funding is kind of a weird term, but say the maximum amount that you're allowed to apply for is 60,000. So if you only use 20,000 for a short activity, you want to reapply in the future for another activity that comes up, that's okay. Yeah, and if there's an activity that's not listed and you want to apply for it, you are welcome to, but it may not be approved. It would be a case-by-case thing that we would look at. And we do recommend that you stick to the activities that are approved. These are some extra ones as well. I kind of maybe just leave Q&A to all of you to see. And I will skip over this for now. I will turn it over to Supreet, who will speak about kind of how IP Assist and AccelerateIP can work together.
And sorry, just before you start, Supreet, that we do have several questions in the chat. They're all, at the moment, AccelerateIP related. So
okay, sure.
Cynthia, clearly you are more articulate with your program description. I'm joking, of course.
No, everybody's just heard me ramble on for the last 2 years.
But just letting people, we'll save all these for the Q&A, so just hang tight. We'll go through all the content, and then we'll address those. So Supreet, over to you, please.
Thank you, Angie. Yes, I can speak a little bit about how the 2 programs work together. So as shared by Cynthia and Rachel, both the programs are structured in a similar way, but they kind of complement each other. With the IP Assist program, it provides IP advice, connections, and funding through the different service offerings, which is level 1, level 2, and level 3 of IP Assist. So if you are an if you are an IRAP client, we suggest you please reach out to your ITA. With the AccelerateIP program, it provides startups with access to education, support, strategy development for protecting, implementing, and of course, leveraging your IP. So if you are not an IRAP client, you can benefit from the AccelerateIP program. The AccelerateIP program offers additional resources that can complement what IP Assist already offers, which is including resources for patent costs, filing, etc. If you've already completed level 2 of IP Assist, you can also consider applying for stream 3 of the AccelerateIP program. We would suggest please talk to your ITA about it, and they can guide you on the next steps for that. There will also be more other provincial initiatives coming up in the future that we can talk about as they get ready and are launched. Yeah, so that's a brief description of both the programs and how they kind of work together. I will just pass it back now to Angie for the Q&A segment.
Oh, okay, great. So first, Cynthia, do you want to add anything to what Supreet said about how the programs can work together?
Like anything, the devil's in the details, so I don't want to get into this because every company will have a slightly different need or plan. But I just want to reiterate that these programs, you can use them both. You can't double dip, but this is part of the whole sit back and plan it a little bit so that you can maximize your resources. And you may find that you do one body of work here and a different body of work there. Maybe you do one thing before the other. I mean, they are separate federal programs at the end of the day, but they can work together if you plan it. And that planning process is actually where a lot of the value learns. It's kind of one of those things where the learning sneaks in on you.
Great, perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the questions. So Cynthia's gonna depart us in about 10 minutes or so. So I want, if there's any questions around IP Assist, put them in the chat now. Lots of we love IRAPs in here, Cynthia, so that's great.
Oh, good.
And IP Assist has been a great program, so that's great too. Andreas is asking if there are other programs that provide IP funding besides these 2.
Specifically for intellectual property, None that are coming to mind. So sometimes and every grant is different. And so I don't want to take it as a do this or do that. I know if your firm or organization is a position to do the NSERC I2I program through that part of the Tri-Council, a certain percentage of those costs can be used towards IP, but that's specifically targeting an academic environment. Pretty much every government program ever will require matching funds no matter how you slice it. Nobody's going to cover all of your costs. And very often you need to pay upfront and then claim back, or at least pay your front. Yeah, in the chat, Innovation Asset Canada, Asset Collective, sorry, IAC may also have a program you can apply for. I don't know the details. I would refer you to just Google IAC and you'll find them. I think they're clean tech focused as opposed to technology generic, but it's worth asking.
Okay, great. Otherwise, can you also go into a bit more detail about what level 2 is strategy for IP Assist and what is needed to do this?
So for the IP Assist resources, it starts with your ITA. You need one of them first. To get an ITA, you need to be IRAP eligible. So you got to address that. But once you're there, the IP strategy is what do you need to do? There's a couple different ways this can be accessed for firms that are IRAP clients. There's a very sort of a general touches everything plan that's really good for early stage. Or if you're a company that has okay, we've got a medical device with a software component, but then it needs to look a certain way, and we've got a patented assay involved, and you've got a bunch of different things, it's really helpful for that. I've had some other clients do a more customized program where it's specifically looking at landscape area on a particular topic. So IRAP clients run the gamut from, just 1 or 2 people, they're just getting off the ground, to 499 people, and they've been running for 20 years and have products in the market. So IRAP clients cover an enormously broad range of subject area, resource, experience, and we've built some of those flexibility into our program. At very early stages, you're probably better off with more of a general thing, but that's going to be a one-to-one discussion with your ITA, and I'm more than happy. They can easily reach out to me if they want to have a more detailed discussion or something like that. So that's always a resource available.
Okay, great. Thank you. And yeah, that is one of the core differences between our programs is for IP Assist, you have to be an IRAP client. For AccelerateIP, it is that is not a requirement. You do have to be a tech startup. So, but it's a bit more broadly open. And then someone was asking for a clarification on how you can use the programs but not double dip. So basically you can't take the same expense and claim it across both programs. But if you have if that's what you mean by double dip, I assume, right, Cynthia?
Yeah, you can't pay for the same thing twice. You do. There's actual rules on the maximum amount of government funding that can be applied to a project, and these are not set by us. These are set by people who are way above us in the system. So companies have to pay a certain percentage of it, and that's just how that works. And it'd be a complete waste of your effort to ask the same question to both programs to 2 different advisors at an early stage in the game. What you don't need that specificity necessarily. So that kind of idea. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're like using Visa to pay MasterCard kind of idea. That's not what we want to do.
No, definitely not. Okay, cool. Okay. I don't see any other direct questions for Cynthia. So I'm not sure what your schedule is like, Cynthia. If you want to hang out for a few minutes or you have to jet, then I'll just say thank you. And
okay, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes and then I will have to bounce off. But thanks everybody for your attention, your questions, and your understanding.
Perfect. Thank you. So now let's just go on to questions. And yeah, Cynthia, of course, feel free to join in if needed. So this is a good question. Do we have to do one stream at a time or can we go straight to stream 2? So awareness being stream 1, strategy being stream 2 for, I think, both programs. Rachel, you want to take that one?
Sure. It all depends. I mean, we do encourage that everyone actually does stream 1 because there's a lot of valuable information in stream 1 and we think everyone can benefit from the education no matter where you're at. You don't necessarily have to. If you meet the other eligibility requirements, you may not have to do stream 1 before stream 2. It all depends on your unique situation. So say you had an in-house IP council and you're very far along on your IP strategy, maybe you don't need to do stream 1 in order to be eligible. So I would say it depends on your unique situation and how far along you are with your IP strategy.
But for stream 3, you definitely need to have an IP strategy. So that means you really should do stream 2 of either IP Assist or our program, or your chances of being approved for stream 3 are not going to be very high, to be perfectly honest. In terms of how competitive, how many applicants, how much overall budget, all good questions. So we actually just finally published a press release on this. So this program is running till March 31st, 2026. This is one of 5 programs across Canada for BC plus the 3 territories. There's $12 million, $12.5 million allotted to this. That is across all 3 streams. And the exact allotments were kind of varying based on the demand we see. How much detail is required in quotes from legal service providers? Looks like that was answered, but basically if you were looking to get a quote from a service provider, we're going to work on a template, I believe, but in the meantime, what works best is a bit of a breakdown is good. Like what are the services you're planning on doing and how much is each? So, the slightly more detailed it is, the more useful, but that's it. Doesn't have to be super granular. Okay, what percentage of applicants for stream 3 actually receive funding? That's a good question. We can't really answer that because we've only done 1 round and it really depends on the types of applicants we get. That said, I don't know, do we have any numbers we can share for this recent round yet, Rachel? No, not yet.
Not yet, but I would say it depends too, like the application round that you might be in, because we might have had more applications for this round because we just opened. So by the time that you apply, if you haven't applied yet, there may be fewer applications and you may have a better chance. So it's really hard to determine something like that in advance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so clarification on $60,000 for costs with a legal service provider. Can you clarify? So can you just give a bit more detail on what stream 3 entails, Rachel, in terms of what's qualified?
Yeah, it's implementation costs. So we have listed all the eligible implementation costs on our website. So you're welcome to check. But it would be anything, related to implementing IP. So strategy, stream 2 is all about figuring out what you want to move forward with and figuring out your strategy. Stream 3 is all about actually implementing it. So deciding that you want to go ahead and draft a patent and file it, or go ahead and apply, or register a trademark, etc. So it's all the actual doing and the moving forward as opposed to the strategizing and making those decisions.
And the funding is based on the invoice received. So, the AccelerateIP will pay the service provider directly based on the quote and the final invoice of service is actually completed. Okay, we've already talked about that. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, Rachel, you've already been answering questions. Well, you answered this, Rachel, but maybe if everyone else that's still here, for stream 2 mentorship, how does that work exactly? And is it a requirement to get the funding in stream 2, or can you just clarify more about stream 2?
Yeah, so if you're already working with an accelerator and you have kind of a relationship there, we can try to keep you with that accelerator as long as they have a mentor available for you. So when you fill in your application form, you identify like if you're already working with someone, because we'd love to know that and we'll try to keep you there. If there's not a fit there, if there's no mentor available, what we do, we try to pair you by region or by sector. And so depending on where you might live or what type of startup you have, then we'll try to do the best pairing possible. And that might also be having a mentor who helps you online if that's what's available. And in terms of Angie's other question, you don't have to, again, do stream 2 mentorship before you do the funding, but we do recommend it always. It's always great to have that lens of working with a business advisor and making sure the IP strategy you create really works as well with your business strategy. So we recommend it as a step, but again, it depends on your individual situation and where you're at.
Okay. Does AccelerateIP have something similar to an ITA, or do we work directly with the legal service provider? So probably more directly with the service provider. Yeah. Okay. The mentorship stream though is there if you do want a bit of another opinion, mentorship support, but we don't have the same model of ITA that IRAP has.
No, but we also have office hours. Chang's on the call today. So if you had a question about your stream or where you fit, and it's something that maybe the program administration team can't answer, Chang is also a former IP lawyer. He is holding office hours. He's waving here now. He's holding them every Friday of this month. So we really do encourage, sign up for office hours, chat through your specific situation with Chang, and he can help fit you in. So that's our kind of customized service that we're providing this month.
It's just
I
a
will
question.
jump
Yeah.
in for one question.
Yeah.
There's something called the Business Benefits Finder.
Yep.
If you Google that, you will come to it. It is an ICED resource. It's online, and it's sort of one of those choose your own adventure websites. I've got 6 people in my company, and we all wear Red Sox, and we're in British Columbia, and it can start popping up lists of possible government programs. Things come and go, programs change. You have to contact the individual ones to find out what's going on at the state of the art, but this is a way to find them all. There's going to be no one person that has all the information. So a little bit of poking around there will help you quite a bit. But just Google Business Benefits Finder and ICED, and it will take you to the links and you can follow it along.
That's good. Oh, and before you leave, Cynthia, I should also mention that one of our partners in this program for both programs is SFU Venture Labs. So tomorrow they're doing a program on IP licensing. You are all invited to attend if that's of interest. Venturelabs.ca is the website. And I believe, Cynthia, you're speaking there as well tomorrow, aren't you? Yes. So if you want a bit more,
if
you
want to hear more of me, there's where you go.
Yes, or if you want to ask Cynthia in person, or there is a hybrid option as well, you have that opportunity. They also have speakers from several law firms and office hours for companies to meet with some of the law firms and special subject matter experts as well. So you're all welcome to check that out. I hear there's already 90 companies signed up, so it'll be a fun time. Yeah. So thank you. Cynthia is probably one of the most generous givers of her time with this. So we do appreciate it. She's constantly, she says yes way more than she needs to. And we are very grateful for that. So thank you. For Accelerate IP, in terms of the matching, the 25%, the 75%. So basically the how does it, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we'll see the invoice, you pay the 25% to the service provider, then we get an invoice showing proof of payment, and then we will pay the balance. So you don't need to pay all up front.
And just to add to that, we actually can't reimburse any startups. So it's really important that you would not pay it all up front, because we would not be able to reimburse you.
Yeah. And on occasion, we hear notes saying, oh, well, it costs money for me to get a quote from my service provider. It shouldn't. So consider that a flag if that happens. All right. Let's just see if there's anything else. We still have a few more minutes. Okay. What is the equivalent to Stream 1? Must have completed an educational offering from Stream 1 or equivalent. Okay, so what does it mean to qualify for Stream 1, having completed Stream 1?
Oh, equivalent to Stream 1. Well, you might have done IP Assist level 1, so that would be an equivalent program to Stream 1. Again, you may have really developed your IP strategy and have expertise on staff. So that's not exactly the equivalent of Stream 1, but I just mean we are looking to be flexible. So if we feel like you don't need Stream 1 because you already have so many other assets of IP strategy, then, but the very easy way of looking at it is IP Assist level 1 would be equal to Stream 1.
Yeah, if you're a startup founder who also used to be an IP lawyer as your first career, we're not going to make you take an IP course. We're going to assume you have that understanding already. So then that has certainly come up. Any jurisdiction in which a patent can be filed in under this program? No, right?
No, we just ask that you work with a legal service provider in Canada.
Great. Okay, I see Chang has already shared a link to his office hours, so yeah, you can sign up for that. What certainty does the applicant have that the service provider's bill will actually be paid? My concern is what happens if AccelerateIP changes its mind and now the applicant is stuck with debt. So you can't assume you're approved. You need to get approval from the program first. So that's why you need to apply. If you have approval from us and we sign an agreement, then this is a government funded program. So you have the certainty of that. Rachel, anything to add to that?
No, I would say the same. Like, we definitely don't go ahead with services until you're actually approved. And you will be signing an agreement when you are approved, and you should look through all the details of the agreement and make sure that you understand them and that you agree to them before moving forward.
Yeah, but this is there's no guarantee of acceptance. So you need to apply, make sure you're accepted and approved and sign your agreement. Then you, if especially if finances are concerned, then you can give the go ahead to your service provider. Okay, last question here, William. Hi, William. So what's the elevator speech? Oh, there's Cynthia when we need her. What's the elevator speech for explaining the difference between the two programs? Why use one over the other? So, okay, so in terms of the elevator speech, I mean, I can try this, or Rachel, would you, or Supreet, would you like to try this?
Go ahead, Angie, and I can add in if there's anything that I can
Okay, I already know I'm going to fail the elevator speech unless we're going to like the 100th floor. But so yes, at its core, these are two government funded programs that support your IP. There is some overlap. I think as startups, that's fantastic news for you because you can now use not just one program, but two programs. Yes, the core difference is that IREP, you have to be a IREP client, whereas our program, you do not. Other differences would be there's going to be different types of education, and from both. With IREP level 1, I believe you work directly with a lawyer or a legal service provider to get some of your training. Whereas for us, it's much more broad. We have our certification program if you want to take a real deep dive, and we're going to have a series of different education programs throughout the next few years. In terms of Stream 2, IREP has a list of services they cover, and we have a list of services we cover. There is a lot of similarity, but there are some things that one program covers that the other does not. So you need to take a look at those, and if that applies to you, then you can perhaps, okay, I'm going to apply to this program for these services, this program for these services. Same for Stream 3. There's a list of services that that AccelerateIP supports, that IP Assist does not, and vice versa, most likely. So you need to take a look at those lists. If you're IREP client, talk to your ITA, come up with a plan on how you can best leverage both programs. So the answer is there's a lot of similarity, but they're not 100% overlapping. So the way to use them both is to look at your own plan and then see how each of the programs separately can support you. Okay, anything to add to that? Okay, Chang wants to add to it.
Yeah, I want to add this one piece that many ventures often find important, and that's with IRAP, they often have a reimbursement model. So you have to pay upfront first and then get reimbursement back for what you've already spent. Whereas with our AccelerateIP program, we pay the invoice directly, so you're not paying upfront. When it comes to cash flow, that can be a very important difference for some.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, and just to reiterate there, Angie, anybody who has completed a level 2 of IP Assist is eligible to apply for Stream 3 of AccelerateIP. So just consider applying for Stream 3, and that covers implementation costs, as I mentioned, like patent costs, filing costs, all of that. And the equivalent of level 2 of IP Assist in the AccelerateIP program is Stream 2. So if you're not an IRAP client and you've not gone through level 2 of IP Assist, consider applying to Stream 3 of AccelerateIP and just working on the strategy piece of it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's just an additional question about if the service provider's invoice exceeds the initial quote. So that's a bit tricky because when we approve the quoted amount, that's the amount that we are approving to pay. So we put clearly the maximum amount that we will pay based on the quote provided. So anything in excess would be responsibility of the startup to pay. We're not able to, I would say if the quote wasn't at the full amount that the startup is eligible for, they could reapply for that amount that was in excess and that they are short. But aside from that, we wouldn't be able to adjust the amount that we had approved after the fact. Angie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I would also just say that to learn more about the details of IP Assist, I believe you go through your ITA. You can also talk to Innovate BC, delivers IP Assist level 1 and 2. Is that correct, Cypriot? So you can talk to someone like Cypriot, and I know Venture
Yes.
Labs does this as well.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I think it's Ryan at SFE Venture Labs who does this as well. So those are other people you can talk to. And then for our program, we do have our website, so AccelerateIP.ca, and there is a very detailed program guide where it should answer a lot of these questions. So definitely take a look at it. And then if needed, you can reach out, and we will do our best to get back to you. All right, I think that's about it. I will wrap it there. Wanted to thank you all for your time. Thank you, Rachel, for the great overview, and Cypriot and Cynthia as well for joining us. So hopefully we helped give you a bit more information on both programs, but please do reach out if you need additional clarifications. Otherwise, thanks again for joining. Appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day.